Hello and welcome everyone to the video. As the slide suggests, what we'll be looking at in this video is the faulty weighing balance questions. So wherein you have a weighing balance which is faulty and because of which you have got a certain amount of profit being generated or certain amount of loss being generated. Combined with this, you have other conditions as well. Let's say suppose a shopkeeper is giving you a discount, or the shopkeeper has done a certain kind of markup, or while purchasing he makes some kind of use of faulty weighing balance that benefits him, or while selling he uses a certain kind of weighing balance that again profits, give him a certain amount of profit, or in some cases it might turn out to be a loss transaction as well, right? So we will be looking at all of this. So let's move on and understand the basic concept behind the faulty weighing balance. Now, when it comes to faulty weighing balance, what is a faulty weighing balance? A faulty weighing balance is a weighing balance which does not give you the correct value of the weight that you have kept on the weighing balance. So for example, if I keep 1000 grams on the weighing balance and it reflects 1200 grams, then that's a faulty weighing balance. If I keep 1000 grams and it is reflecting 800 grams, then also it is a faulty weighing balance. Now, in either of the scenarios that I've said just now, you might have a profit or a loss. So let's evaluate this thing. So let's say suppose there's a weighing balance that weighs 1000 grams instead of 800 grams. Now we need to understand what does this statement means. The weighing balance weighs 1000 grams. That means it is reflecting 1000 grams on its screen instead of 800 grams. That means the actual weight that is kept on the weighing balance is 800 grams. And it is reflecting what? It is reflecting 1000 grams on the screen. It is reflecting what? It is reflecting 1000 grams on the screen. Now, please understand this thing, that when it comes to faulty weighing balance, your cost price of a transaction and the selling price of transactions are determined on the different weights. That's the difference between a normal case wherein you have a correct weighing balance and a case wherein you have a faulty weighing balance, that your cost of the transaction will be determined on a different weight and your selling price of a transaction will be determined on a different weight. Like for example, in this case, your reflected quantity is 1000 grams. That means if I am the shopkeeper, I'm going to tell my customer that, look, the screen is reflecting 1000 grams. So pay me according to 1000 grams. But the actual weight that I've kept on the weighing balance was only 800 grams. That means the cost price of my transaction will be determined on 8000 grams. But my selling price of this transaction will be determined on 1000 grams. Now, this is something that we have to understand. So cost price is always determined on the actual weight. Selling price is determined on the reflected or the claimed weight that the shopkeeper is claiming. So claimed weight, it can be length depending upon the question. Okay. So that is one thing that we have to always understand on these questions, that what is the measurement on which my cost price will be determined and what is the measurement on which my selling price will be determined. That's point number one. Point number two, I want you to presume in the questions, I want you to presume that 1 unit is 1 rupee as my cost price of the transaction. So if I'm dealing with grams and kilograms, I'm going to say 1 gram equal to 1 rupee. If I'm dealing with meter, centimeter, I'm going to say 1 centimeter equal to 1 rupee. That's my cost price. Now, this is a very generic approach that I'm talking about on the screen. Now, we will go ahead and we will also try to reduce everything and try to do things a lot faster. But remember this thing, that basics are something which will be required in order to excel on any concept and in order to speed up, right? So the same concept is something that will really help you to speed up your calculation. So we'll go to that, but this is the basic that you need to understand, right? So in this particular transaction, what are we saying? My cost price will be determined on 800 grams. My selling price will be determined on 1000 grams. I am presuming that 1 unit is equals to 1 rupee. So 1 gram is equals to 1 rupee. My cost price of this transaction will be what? 800 rupees. And my selling price of this transaction. Now in this transaction, they have not said anything about markup or discount or any of those things. Then I'm going to presume that it is 1 unit as 1 rupee is your selling price as well. But what is he claiming? He's claiming that I'm giving you 1000 grams. So he's going to charge his customer and say that, look, my selling price has to be 1000 rupees. In that case, my profit value will be what? My profit value will be 200 upon the cost of 800 into 100. That will be 25% profit, right? Now, this is how you calculate your profit percentage. But to shorten things up, what we will require is the ratio of selling price by cost price. So in this particular case, the ratio of selling price by cost price will be 1000 by 800. That will be nothing but 10 by 8, which will be nothing but 5 by 4. And from here, we will try to understand that my profit value is corresponding to 1 upon 4, and 1 upon 4 corresponds to 25% profit. Let's move on. Let's look at the other case, wherein your weighing balance weighs 800 grams instead of 1000 grams. That means I have kept 1000 grams on the weighing balance, but it is reflecting only 800 grams. That means my actual weight is what? 1000 grams in this case, and my reflected weight is what? 800 grams. Of course, my selling price will be determined on the reflected weight. So my selling price in this particular transaction should be what? 800 rupees, but my cost of the transaction will be what? 1000 rupees, right? That means there is a loss of 200 rupees on a cost of 1000. So my loss percentage will be what? So if I wish to now calculate my loss percentage, it's going to be 200 upon the cost of 1000 into 100. That's going to be 20% loss. But once again, we will be looking at the ratio of selling price by cost price as an important parameter to reduce our time and reducing all of these calculations. So what will be the selling price by cost price ratio in this particular case? It's going to be 800 by 1000. And that's going to be what? 4 by 5 as the ratio of selling price by cost price. Now, going forward, we will try to calculate the ratio of selling price by cost price in every single transaction. Okay. Now, why do we do that, and what advantage will it give you? When we'll combine all of those cases, we will get to know that. Point number one. Point number two, in some of these cases, the intuitive answer that is there on your mind might not be the actual answer. So we will first go through individual cases and try and understand as to how can you determine the ratio of selling price by cost price in each of the cases. And then we will take the questions wherein we'll combine all the scenarios together and try and understand as to how do we get down to the answers in those cases. Okay, so let's move on. Let's look at our first case. Sam sells a cloth using a tape that measures 10% less. Now it is measuring 10% less than what it should have actually measured. Okay, that's what we are trying to see. Now, intuitively speaking, we might say that it's a profit of 10%, but it is actually not a profit of 10%. So let's go ahead and try and evaluate this. Sam sells cloth using a tape that measures 10% less. So it should have measured what? Let's say 100 centimeters, but it is actually measuring what? It is actually measuring only 10% less than that. That means it is measuring only 90 centimeters. Why have I taken 100? Why cannot I take 1 centimeter? Yes, you can take 1 centimeter. Then in that case, the actual measurement will become 0.9 centimeters. It's one and the same thing, right? So this is the reflected measurement. Sam sells cloth using a tape that measures 10% less than what it should have ideally measured. So what is exactly happening on this is that on your marking scheme, you have on your marking scale, you have the value from 0 to 100, but the actual measurement is only 90 centimeters. This is what this condition is trying to tell you. So actually you will only deliver 90 centimeters, wherein your reflected value will be 100 centimeters. That means what will be the ratio of your selling price by cost price? Selling price will be determined on 100 centimeters. Your cost price will be determined on 90 centimeters. So what we will say? We will say 100 or 1000 by 900, or if we wish to use 100, so we will say 100 by 90 in this case, which will be 10 by 9. This implies a profit of 11.11%. Intuitively, what was our task? What was our understanding? That it might be 10%. It is not 10%. It is 10 by 9 as the ratio of selling price by cost price, and the profit percentage in this transaction will be 11.11%. Right. So like this, in different cases, we will try to calculate the ratio of selling price by cost price. At the end of this entire concept, I'm going to combine all of these statements and try to show it to you as to how these ratios of selling price by cost price in every transaction individually can be used to solve a. Okay, so let's look at the second case. Sam offers a discount of 20%. So you have a cost of the product. Let's say suppose 1 centimeter equals to 1 rupee, and you are looking at 100 centimeters for the ease of our calculation. So that will be 100 rupees. Now you are only offering a discount. There's no other condition given to you. So what are we saying? I am going to sell my 100 centimeters at 80 rupees, right? So what is the ratio of selling price by cost price in this transaction? We're going to say that the selling price will be 80 rupees and the cost will be what? 100 rupees. So what will be the ratio of selling price by cost price? It is going to be 4 by 5. In this case, if at all, we are only offering discount, nothing else, whatever I purchased it on. Now, when I'm going to sell it, I am offering a discount of 20%. In that case, I am generating a loss of 20%. Intuitively, it was 20%. It is at the moment correct that it is a 20% loss that you will be generating. But mark my words, every time we will not go by the intuitions. And this process is something that I want you to always do to ensure that you are not making mistakes. Let's move on. Let's look at the third case. Sam marks up the good by 10%. Okay. So let's say suppose 1 centimeter was equal to 1 rupee as my cost. So 100 centimeters will be equals to 100 rupees as my cost. And now I am marking up the goods by 10%. So for 100 centimeters, I'm going to charge what? 110 rupees. So what is the ratio of selling price by cost price in this case? My selling price will be 110 rupees, wherein it costed me 100. So 11 by 10. Once again, our intuition is fair and just in this particular case, but everywhere it might not be. So selling price by cost price ratio in this particular case will be 11 by 10. Let's move on. Look at the next one. While purchasing, Sam uses a scale that measures 10% more. That means what? He pays for, let's say suppose the cost was 1 centimeter equal to 1 rupee. He claims to purchase 100 centimeters. So he should have paid 100 rupees for this, but he's measuring a scale. He's using a scale that measures 10% more. So instead of 100 centimeters, it has actually measured 110 centimeters. So he has bought 110 centimeters for 100 rupees. So his cost will be 100 rupees, but he's going to sell it at what? 110 rupees. So what will be the ratio of selling price by cost price in this transaction? Selling price by cost price in this transaction will be 110 by 100, which is going to be 11 by 10 in this case. Once again, 10% profit being correct, but it will not be the case in every scenario. Let's move on. Let's look at the fifth case. Sam purchases the goods at a discount of 10%. So 1 centimeter was, let's say suppose 1 rupee, 100 centimeters was for 100 rupees, but he's purchasing it. 100 centimeter is for 100 rupees, but he's purchasing it at a discount of 10%. That means his cost will be what? 100 centimeters, it will be 90 rupees. That will be his cost, right? And what will be his selling price? He is not going to offer the discount. So 100 centimeters, he will sell it at 100 rupees. So what will be his ratio of selling price by cost price? Ratio of selling price by cost price will be what? Selling price will be 100 rupees. Cost price will be 90 rupees. So that ratio will be 10 by 9. Now over here, intuition was what? It is a 10% profit. And what is it turning out to be? It is turning out to be 11.11% profit in this case, because he has purchased it at a discount of 10%, right? So once again, our intuition is then falling flat over here, right? So we really need to understand that every time I'm not going to look at this value and say that this is according to this is what I'm going to decide my selling price by cost price. I want you to diligently work through this and get down to the correct ratio of selling price by cost price, because if you end up calculating a wrong ratio of selling price by cost price, then you are gone on the entire question. Okay. So these are small bits and pieces of your larger question. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the next case. If 10% of the articles are destroyed, so let's say suppose he was purchasing 1 gram for 1 rupee, so 100 grams for 100 rupees, but his 10% of the articles are destroyed. So what is now happening? He has only got 90 grams and he will be able to sell it only for 90 rupees. Right? Wherein his cost of the entire transaction was 100, his selling price is only 90. That means the ratio of selling price by cost price in this particular case will be what? it will be selling price 90 rupees, cost was 100 rupees. So you are looking at the ratio of selling price by cost price is 9 by 10. Again, it was 10% destroyed, so 10% loss. Yes, it is a fair presumption in this particular case, right? So let's now move on and try and combine all of these 6 cases, or whatever we can. We will combine all of this and try to make a question out of this and see as to how the ratio of selling price by cost price can really help you to solve that question very, very quickly. Let's look at this. So what is he doing? Sam sells cloth using a tape that measures 10% less. Now this is one single transaction. So in this particular transaction, what are we saying? Sam sells cloth using a tape that measures 10% less. It is measuring 10% less than what it should have ideally measured, right? So once again, we will go the same route, and we will try to calculate the ratio of selling price by cost price. In this specific transaction, I'm not going any further. I'm just taking one information at a time and trying to calculate the ratio of selling price by cost price. So Sam sells a cloth using a tape that measures 10% less. So he's selling it using a scale that measures 10% less. So it should have measured 100 centimeters, but it is only measuring 90 centimeters, right? So his cost will be determined on 90 centimeters and his selling price will be determined on 100 centimeters. If I presume 1 centimeter equal to 1 rupee, then my selling price will be what? 100, and my cost price will be what? 90. So 10 by 9 will be the ratio of my selling price by cost price, right? So this is where we are after reading the first statement. Let's read the second statement. He offers a discount of 10%. He offers a discount of 10% while he marks up the goods by 10%. So this is another transaction. We'll go to this a little later. We will first look at the first transaction. He offers a discount of 10%. Now understand this thing. Let me first look at this statement alone and try to get down to the ratio of selling price by cost price, and then I will relate it with the original previous transaction as well. He offers a discount of 10%. That means, let's say, suppose his cost was, he was purchasing 100 centimeters. So his cost was 100 rupees. His cost will be what? 100 rupees. And now he's offering a discount of 10%. That means he's selling it at 90 rupees. So selling price by cost price ratio will be what? 90 by 100, which will be what? 9 by 10. Clear? So this is the new ratio of selling price by cost price. Now let us go back and try to relate it with this particular aspect. Understand this thing. Selling price by cost price is 10 by 9 in the first transaction. So selling price will be 10 by 9 times the cost price. Correct? Now we are saying that I am giving a discount. Discount is offered on what? Selling price, right? So you will reduce your selling price, previous selling price, by 10%, isn't it? So you will simply say 0.9. 0.9 is nothing but 9 by 10. So your new selling price will be 9 by 10 times of this entire equation, isn't it? So this will be 9 by 10 of 10 by 9 of the cost price. Correct? So if you now look at it, this is your new selling price. So let me call this as SP dash. So if I combine the first two transactions, what are we saying? We are saying that the selling price will be 9 by 10 times of 10 by 9 times of the cost price. So if you evaluate this a little further, you will realize SP divided by cost price in this part after this transaction will be what? 9 by 10 into 10 by 9, which is what? You had calculated this 10 by 9, which was this 10 by 9 over here, and you had calculated this 9 by 10, which is multiplied by the previous value, right? So what we can now do is, when we are looking at the next transaction, we will simply calculate the ratio of selling price by cost price and multiply it with this, right? So let's look at this. While he marks up the goods by 10%. Now, if he is marking up his goods by 10%, then he has bought it for 100 rupees, but he is marking it at 110 rupees and selling it at 110 rupees. In this case, what will be the ratio of selling price by cost price? He will sell it at 110 divided by 100. So it's going to be 11 by 10. Now I'm going to simply multiply it by 11 by 10, right? Go further. While purchasing, he uses a scale that measures 10% more. Now he's using a scale that measures 10% more. Now in this particular transaction, what is happening? While purchasing, he uses a scale that measures 10% more. So he'll pay for 100 centimeters, which will be 100 rupees, but he will get what? he'll get 110 centimeters out of that, right? And which he will then of course sell it at 110 rupees. So his selling price by cost price ratio for this particular transaction should be what? 110 by 100, which is going to be 11 by 10. So I'm again going to multiply it by 11 by 10 over here, right? Look at the next transaction. If 10% of the cloth is destroyed, so what is now happening? That his cost was 100 centimeters, 100 rupees, but his 10% of the cloth is destroyed. So it is now 90 centimeters only, and it is going to be sold at 90 rupees. So he will now generate a loss. What will be the ratio of selling price by cost price in this case? It's going to be 90 divided by 100. So that will be 9 by 10. So I will simply multiply it by 9 by 10. Then what is his profit percentage? Now understand this thing, that this is the ratio of selling price by cost price ultimately. Now, if you cancel all of this, what are we going to get? We will get 121 into 99. 121 into 99 divided by 1000. So let me calculate it over here. Selling price by cost price ratio will be 121 into 9. That's going to be 9. 9 2s are 18. 9 1s are 9 and 10. 1089. So selling price by cost price ratio is 1089 divided by 1000. So what will be the profit percentage? Profit percentage will be 89 by 1000 into 100. And that's going to be what? 8.9% profit. Remember this thing, that your ratio of selling price by cost price is turning out to be greater than 1. That means ultimately you are generating a profit. Had this ratio been less than 1, I would have said that we are generating a loss. But in this particular case, it is more than 1, right? So we will say what? We will say it is an 8.9% profit. So what I effectively now wish to convey is that whenever you have got a faulty balance question, look at it as an individual question. Try to generate your selling price by cost price ratios correctly. If you are able to generate your selling price by cost price ratios correctly, then you will be able to multiply all of them and will be able to get down to the ratio of selling price by cost price in the entire transaction, which can then tell you what is the profit or the loss percentage. Now, some of you would want to say that, sir, is it similar to successive percentage change? Yes, it is similar to successive percentage change, but it is preferable that we use fractions rather than going by that formula of a plus b plus a into b by 100, because that is going to involve a lot of calculation. For example, let's say suppose at some point in time, like over here 10 by 9, when you are getting, you might want to use 11.11, but it is actually not a terminating decimal number. So what happens? It is 11.111111 that is continued. And when you only take 11.11 in your calculation, you are building up a error in your calculation and you might not get the same thing in the option choices. Okay, so be very careful with that. Using a fraction is better than using that particular formula when you are dealing with such percentage figures. Okay, so let's move on and let's start doing some of these questions. And as usual, the drill remains the same, that I'm going to give you a minute's time or a minute and a half time depending upon the variety of question, and then we will look at as to what will be the solution for that, right? So let's move on and let's look at the first question. So that's your first question. Take about 1 minute of time. Last 20. Take another 10 seconds. Right. So let's try and do this question. What is the question saying? A shopkeeper uses a weight which is 1500 grams instead of 1 kilogram. That means it should be 1 kilogram, but it is using a weight which is of 1500 grams while purchasing the goods. That means he's paying only for 1 kilogram, but he's getting 1,500 grams. So now let's calculate the selling price by cost price ratio. He is getting 1,500 grams. So let's say suppose for 1,000 grams, it was 1,000 rupees as his cost and 1,000 rupees as his cost, but he's now getting 1,500 grams. So for 1,500 grams, he's going to charge his customer 1,500 rupees. If I only look at this particular transaction, so this will be the cost price, this will be the selling price. So what is the ratio of selling price by cost price in your first transaction? 1,500 divided by 1,000. So that's going to be 3/2 as your first value. So I'm going to just write 3/2 and then move on. Okay. And uses a weight. This is the second transaction. Uses a weight 750 grams instead of 1 kilogram. That means while selling his goods, that means he's putting only 750 grams on the weighing balance, but it is reflecting 1 kilogram. He's using a weight of 750 gram instead of 1 kilogram. He should have used a weight of 1 kilogram, but he is only using a weight of 750 grams. That means he's giving 750 grams, but telling his customer that I'm giving you 1,000 grams, right? So his selling price will be for 1,000 grams. His cost will be what? 750 grams, right? So if you now try to solve this, what is the ratio that we are getting? 25 into 3 and 25 into 4. So we are now getting the second ratio of selling price by cost price as 4/3. So I will simply multiply this by 4/3, right? Go further. If he has marked up his goods by 20%, what is his profit percentage? Now only look at the markup. If he has marked his goods by 20%, now what should be his selling price by cost price ratio? So let's say suppose 1,000 grams, he's marking it up by 20%. So it should be selling price should be 1,200 and his cost will be what? 1,000. So in this particular transaction, he will be generating a profit and profit value will be what? 6/5. So you will multiply it by 6/5. When you try to solve this, what is the value that you get? You will get 12/5 as the ratio of selling price by cost price. Now, what will be his profit percentage? Profit percentage will be corresponding to a fraction of 7/5, isn't it? And 1/5 is what? 20%. So 7/5 will be what? 7 into 20, 140% is your profit percentage in this transaction, right? If you are able to get that ability to draw these fractions very, very quickly, then you will be able to solve these questions within the stipulated time of 1.5 minutes, right? So treat each of these statements individually, generate selling price by cost price ratio, multiply all of them, you'll get the ultimate selling price by cost price ratio. With the help of that, you can get down to the answers. Let's try question number 2. Take another minute's time. Last 20. Take 10 seconds more. Right. Let's try and solve this question. It says a shopkeeper adds a markup of 20% on his goods. Just treat this as the first statement. Shopkeeper adds a markup. So for he is adding impurity. So let me take grams and kilograms. So let me say that it was 1,000 grams. So it will be 1,000 rupees. And a shopkeeper adds a markup of 20%. So for 1,000 grams, he will now sell it at 1,200 rupees. Correct? So what will be his ratio of selling price by cost price? Ratio of selling price by cost price is 1,200 divided by 1,000, right? Which is going to be what? 6/5. So if I look at the ratio of selling price by cost price, that's going to be 6/5, right? For the first transaction. and offers a discount of 10% to please his customer. So if let's say suppose it is 1000 grams, it will be 1000 rupees. And if I offers, this is his cost price. Now, if I offer a 10% discount, my selling price for 1000 grams will be what? My selling price for 1000 grams will then become 900 rupees, right? So what will be the ratio of selling price by cost price? It is going to be 900 by 1000. 900 by 1000 will then imply what? 9 by 10. So I'm simply going to multiply this by 9 by 10. He also adds 10% impurities to his goods. Now, please understand this thing. Let's say suppose he has purchased 1000 grams for 1000 rupees, right? But now he is adding 10% impurities. So while selling, he will say what? He will say that I'm giving you 1100 grams, 10% impurities in 1000 grams will make it 1100 grams, and he will sell it for 1100 rupees. That means his ratio of selling price by cost price in this particular transaction will be 1100 divided by 1000. So that's going to be 11 by 10. So I'm simply going to multiply this by 11 by 10 and then try to calculate this particular value, right? So let's look at calculating this. So you are then generating, okay, so 2 3s are 6, 2 5s are 10. There's nothing much that we can do. We will get 27 into 11 divided by 250 as your value. Let's just try and calculate this thing. 11 7s are 77 and 11 2s are 22, 270, 297 divided by 250. And what will be his profit percentage? His profit percentage will be corresponding to 47 by 250 into 100, right? So 25 into 5, 25 into 4 and 47 into 4 divided by 25 into 10. This will be, I'm so sorry, this will be 10. So 2 2s are 4 and 2 5s are 10. So what we're getting is 47 into 2, which is 94 divided by 5, and that's going to be 18 5s are 90, so 18.8% profit. So the answer to this question will be 18.8% profit. We can be really fast at all of this. It is just that I'm trying to explain it to you, so it is going to take so much of a time. Once we have covered about, let's say suppose about 20-30 odd problems, we would be super fast at all of these calculations, right? So let's move on. Let's look at the third question. Take another minute's time to solve this. Another 15 seconds, keep trying. Last 5. Right, so let's try and have a look at this. While selling apples, a shopkeeper uses a spring balance that shows 1 kilogram. That means it will reflect 1 kilogram for 800 grams. So if you keep 800 grams, it is going to reflect 1 kilogram. Selling price by cost price ratio. Your selling price will be what? You will tell your customer that, look, I'm giving you 1000 grams, but you are actually putting 800 grams. So it should be 1000 by 800 as your ratio of selling price by cost price. That will be 5 by 4. So I'm looking at the ultimate ratio of selling price by cost price and keeping a 5 by 4 over there, right? Go further. If 10% of his apples are rotten, if his 10% of the apples are rotten, then what will happen? Let's say suppose he is selling 1000 apples, he has purchased 1,000 apple for 1,000 rupees and his 10% of the apples are destroyed. That means he will have to sell it at 900 rupees, but his cost was 1,000, right? So 900 by 1,000 is what will be the value over here in this particular transaction. That's going to be 9 by 10. So I'm simply going to multiply this by 9 by 10. Now, what should be his markup percentage in order to generate 50% profit on the overall transaction? Now, overall value of selling price by cost price should be giving you a 50% profit. What is the ratio of selling price by cost price when it is 50% profit? That ratio is 3 by 2. So I'm going to put that value as 3 by 2. And I'm going to say that his markup percentage should be corresponding to a figure Y, right? So over here for a value of Y, I'm again going to get a fraction like 5 by 4 or 9 by 10, whatever may be the case, right? So 3 by 2 must be equals to 5 by 4 into 9 by 10 into Y. I just have to calculate the value of Y. So let's try and do this. 5 2s are 10, 2 will get cancelled out. 3 3s are 9. What is the value of Y? The value of Y will be 4 by 3, right? 4 by 3 implies what? That there will be a markup of 1 by 3, which corresponds to 33.33%, right? So his profit corresponding to this should be 4 by 3, right? Now, profit corresponding to 4 by 3, that means his selling price should be 4 when his cost should be 3. That means his profit value will be what? 1 upon 3 into 100. That's 33.33% should be his markup in order to generate that kind of a profit with the first two conditions given to you, right? Let's move on and let's look at the next question. Again, take about 1.5 minutes of time to try this out. Doesn't really require 1.5 minutes, so I'll just give you 1 minute. $30 more. Right. Let's try and solve this. A dishonest dealer uses a false weights by which he cheats 30% while buying. So let's take this as the first transaction. So while buying, he cheats 30, he's cheating for 30%. That means, let's say, suppose he's paying only for 1,000 grams, but he's getting 1,300 grams for himself. This is how he cheats for 30%. So he's saying that, look, I'm purchasing from you only 1,000 grams, but he's actually picking up 1,300 grams for that, right? So he's going to sell it for 1,300, but his cost will be 1,000 rupees. So in this particular transaction, selling price by cost price ratio will be 1,300 divided by 1,000, right? So that's going to be 13 by 10. So I'm now going to write overall selling price by cost price ratios over here. And that's going to be 13 by 10 for the first transaction. And cheats while 50% while selling the product. So he's going to say that, look, I'm giving you 1,000 grams, but he will actually only deliver 500 grams, right? So his selling price by cost price will be what? He's going to tell his customer that, look, 1,000 grams. So his selling price will be for 1,000 rupees, but his cost is only for 500 rupees. So it's going to be what? It's going to be the value equal to 2 by 1, right? So I'm going to multiply it by 2 by 1 over here. Find his overall profit percentage if he professes to sell the good at the cost price, right? So what are we saying? Selling price by cost price ratio is turning out to be what? 13 by 5. This will be corresponding to a profit of what? The profit value will be corresponding to 8 by 5. 1 by 5 is 20%. So 20 into 8, it's going to be 160% profit in this entire transaction, right? Not a very difficult question. I think by looking at these fractions, your life is going to be a lot more easier than what it used to be. Let's move on and look at question number 5. Take about 1.5 minutes of time and try this out. Thirty seconds. Last 5. Right. Let's have a look at question number 5. It says a milkman adulterates the milk by adding 30% water to it. So let's say suppose he had 100 liters with him and it was for 100 rupees. He adulterates it, makes it 130 liters, and he will now be selling it at 130. So the ratio of selling price by cost price in this particular transaction should be 13 by 10. Let's write the overall ratio of selling price by cost price over here, and we will write it as 13 by 10 over here, right? He is still not satisfied and adds another 20% water to this. If I add another 20% water to this, by now we should have realized that that's going to be 12 by 10, right? So we will take 12 by 10 over here as the value for the next transaction. If pure milk costs 26 rupees per liter and water is available for free, what should be his price per liter of the mixture in order to make a profit of 80% overall? He wished to then make a profit of 80% overall. Then that means that this ultimate ratio should be 18 by 10, or it's going to be 9 by 5, whatever way you wish to put it, right? And let's say suppose what should be his price per liter? Let's say suppose his price per liter is a markup of a certain value. So that is corresponding to this figure y. Okay. So let's try and get down to this figure of y. 18 by 10 is equals to 13 by 10 into 12 by 10 into y is what we are looking at. We are trying to calculate the value of y in this transaction. Okay. So 10 will get cancelled out. You will have 3 6 are 18 and 3 4s are 12, 2 and 3 over here. So we are then going to get 30 by 26 as the value of y. Now, if the value of y is 30 by 26, what are we then trying to find out? We are saying that pure milk costs 26. What is the and water is available for free? What should be the price per liter of the mixture in order to generate a profit of 80%? Now, price per liter is going to get you this much amount of profit. So if this is your ratio of selling price by cost price, then what are we saying? My cost price should be 26. In that case, I should be selling it at 30. That means it is fortunately just 26 over here. So we are then going to say that I'm going to sell it at 30 rupees per liter. So the selling price should be what? 30 rupees per liter. Now, I said fortunately does not mean that we will not be able to solve it. If at all there's something else, it should be 15 by 13, right? And 15 by 13 of 26 should have then given you that value, which is 30 rupees per liter. So in either ways, we will be able to get down to this, but we really need to understand that our ratios has to be proper in the entire calculation. If that is not correct, then we are going to struggle on the paper, right? So let's move on. Let's look at the next question, question number 6. Take a minute's time to try and solve this. 15 seconds more. Let's try and solve this. A shopkeeper earns a profit of 50%. So overall, his ratio of selling price by cost price should be 50%, which is 3/2. Ultimate ratio has to be 3/2. By marking his goods by 20%, by marking up his goods by 20%. So in this particular transaction, his selling price should be, let's say, suppose 1,200. If his cost is 1,000, that's a markup, right? So it costed me 1,000 rupees. I should do a markup of 20% and sell it at 1,200. So my selling price by cost price ratio in this particular transaction, when I do a markup, has to be 12/10, or it has to be 6/5, one and the same thing, right? So this ratio will be 6/5. By how much percentage does his weighing balance weighs less than what it should be in order to get an overall profit of 50%? See, overall ratio of selling price by cost price, I know has to be 3/2. So one of these ratios is 6/5. So the other ratio is, let's say, suppose y, and this value ultimately should be equals to 3/2. So let me put that 3/2 over here, 6/5 over here, into y over here, right? So what do we get? We will get 2 over here, and we will get 5/4 as a value of y over here. What is the value of y? Value of y is 5/4. Now, value of y is corresponding to a ratio of selling price by cost price. That means he should be able to sell it at 5 rupees, wherein it should have costed him 4 rupees. That means he should say he should actually deliver 4 grams, because your selling price will be determined on, your selling price will be determined on the reflected value, and your cost price will be determined on the actual value. So your actual value should be 4 grams, wherein your reflected value should be 5 grams. So what is he saying? He's saying that, look, I'm giving you 5 grams, but he's actually giving you 4 grams. So by what percentage is he weighing less? He's weighing less 1 gram on a claim of 5 grams. So 1/5 into 100, it's a 20% less weighing, right? Do not look at this 5/4 and mark 25% as your answer. It is 20% weighing less than what was claimed. I hope we are clear with this. Very important question. You will always find 25% being there in the option choice, and we must not mark that as the answer. Let's move on and let's look at one last question for the day, which is question number 7. Take about 1.5 minutes of time. Thirty seconds more. Last 5. Right. Let's have a look at this. A trader marks up the goods by 50%. So what will be his selling price? His selling price, let's say, suppose, is 1,500 on a cost of 1,000. So we are then going to say that selling price by cost price ratio that it generates has to be 3/2 for this particular part. A trader marks up the goods by 50%. Overall ratio of selling price by cost price, I'm writing it over here. First part of this transaction is giving me 3/2 as the ratio of selling price by cost price, and offers a discount of Y%. Now, because of this Y% discount, I am taking that figure as Y itself. Okay, we'll get a fraction over here, and from there we will try to judge what is the discount percentage. He uses a faulty balance that weighs 10% less than what it should weigh. So it should ideally weigh 1000 grams. It is weighing 10% less. That means it is only weighing 900 grams. So his cost will be 900 grams. So in this particular transaction, selling price by cost price, his cost will be 900 grams, but his selling price will be 1000. So this is going to be 10/9 for this particular part. If he wish to earn a profit of 20%, what can be the value of phi? If he's planning to earn 20%, 20% corresponds to what ratio of selling price by cost price? Selling price by cost price ratio will be 6/5, right? That's your 20% profit. So this ultimately should be 6/5. So if I have a 6/5 over here, I have a 3/2 over here, I have a 10/9, and I have a fraction corresponding to the percentage Y. Okay, let's just try and solve this. 3 2s are 6, and then you have a 5 over here. So what are we getting? We are getting 18/25 as the value of Y. We are getting 18/25 as the value of Y. This is the discount that we are offering. Remember, Y is what? Ratio of selling price by cost price corresponding to this transaction. Selling price by cost price ratio is turning out to be 18/25. So when it is costing me 25, I am selling it at 18. That means I am giving a discount of 7 rupees on a cost of 25 into 100. So that's what 25 into 4, 100, and 28% discount. 28% discount can be offered, right? So if we are able to calculate the ratio of selling price by cost price correctly, do not go by intuitions, go by your proper calculations like the way we have done it over here, or for that matter, at so many other places where we have done those calculations. Please ensure you do those calculations better. Try and spend about 10 minutes with each of the first 6 cases that I've told you, and get that clear in your head. Post that, you will never have a trouble on the profit, loss, and discount questions dealing with faulty balances, right? So that brings me to the closure of the session, guys. Thank you so much. Please do like the channel, and please do like the video as well. Also subscribe to the channel if you have not done that. To be a part of our 100 Days to CAT program, you can fill up the form present in the description of this video, and we will shortly add you to our Telegram group. Hope to see you on the next video. Thank you so much and take care.